Recognize Senator Lieber.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that consideration of Senate Concurrent Resolution 6 be made a special order of business immediately.
Senator Lieber moves that consideration of SCR 6 be made a special order of business immediately. To your motion.
Yes, guests for this concurrent resolution are present, and I don't believe they want to sit through our entire business. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Is there a discussion on the measure? On the motion. Senator Lieber, do you wish to close? The question is on making SCR 6 a special order of business immediately. Those in favor will answer aye. Those opposed, no. Voice vote. Those in favor will answer aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is carried. We will now proceed to the special order of business. The clerk will read the resolution in its entirety.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 6. Whereas Ralph Davis Bourne was born in Spokane, Washington on July 3, 1944 during World War II, and whereas Ralph Davis Brown's mother, Lillian Tinka Wivoda Barber, worked in the war industry, and his father, Leonard Davis, served in the United States Army, and whereas when he was 6 months old, Ralph Davis Brown was adopted by his babysitter, Violet Newman Brown, and her husband, Harold Brownie Brown, and whereas when Ralph Davis Brown was 7 years old, Harold Brown died on the job in a train accident near Lewiston, Idaho, and subsequently Ralph Davis Brown and Violet Brown moved to her hometown of Astoria, Oregon. And whereas Ralph Davis Brown and a happy childhood spent with his many friends, and he participated in the Boy Scouts of America, the YMCA, swimming, sports, clam digging, camping, and many other activities. And whereas Ralph Davis Brown attended Captain Robert Gray Elementary School in Astoria, where he met his future wife, Carol Osterland, and they remained close to many of their friends from those years, including the Fellas Club. And whereas Ralph Davis Brown attended Astoria High School, where he participated on the football, baseball, and wrestling teams, and whereas after graduating from high school in 1962, Ralph Davis Brown joined the United States Army National Guard and spent a year in training, followed by a 4-time part-time stint, and whereas Ralph Davis Brown was on national duty during riots in Seaside, Oregon, and he also helped to evacuate a nursing home during a flood alert, and whereas during his high school and college years, Ralph Davis Brown worked for the Columbia River Packers Association, which later became Bumblebee Seafoods, and whereas Ralph Davis Brown married Carol Osterland, his longtime girlfriend, in September 1963, and their daughter Lori was born in 1964, and whereas Ralph Davis Brown received his associate degree from Clatsop Community College in 1965 and his bachelor's degree from Oregon College of Education in 1967, and whereas Ralph Davis Brown began his teaching career at Fort Stevens Junior High School in the Warrenton-Hammond School District, where he also coached football and basketball, and whereas Ralph Davis Brown's first students were very special to him, and he remained in contact with some of them for the rest of his life. And whereas after his son Darrell was born in 1970, Ralph Davis Brown began teaching in the Hillsborough School District, where he would spend the rest of his career at the middle school level as a teacher, guidance counselor, and administrator. And whereas Ralph Davis Brown continued his education at Portland State University and Oregon State University, earning his counseling and administrative degrees. And whereas in addition to teaching, Ralph Davis Brown coached various sports teams and assisted with track meets and other extracurricular activities. And whereas Ralph Davis Brown served as a mayor and city council member for the city of Cornelius, Oregon, and he was a Parks and Recreation Commissioner for the city of Forest Grove, Oregon. And whereas Ralph Davis Brown was an active member of the Forest Grove United Church of Christ, where he served in various leadership positions and helped start their homelessness assistance program. And whereas Ralph Davis Brown served on the boards of the Cornelius Boosters Club, Cornelius Kids Incorporated, Tuality Community Hospital, Washington County Community Action, Forest Grove High School Hall of Fame, and Forest Grove Senior and Community Center. And whereas Ralph Davis Brown is a longtime member and president of the Oregon Roadrunners Club, ORRC, and he was director of hundreds of runs for ORRC and other local organizations in Washington County and Northwest Oregon. And whereas Ralph Davis Brown was appointed as a state representative for Oregon House District 29 in 2002, serving the remainder of a term until the next election. And whereas 2007, Ralph Davis Brown won election to the school board of the Forest Grove School District. And whereas in retirement, Carol and Ralph Davis Brown were able to travel and spend time with their beloved children and grandchildren. And whereas aided by his daughter Lori, Ralph Davis Brown was fortunate to reconnect with his birth family in Montana, California, and Arizona, including his mother Lillian, his brothers Art and Dale, and his sisters Jackie, Ravon, Judy, Jerry, and Terry, and whereas a result of finding his birth family, Ralph Davis Brown became an enrolled member of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes of the Flathead Reservation in Montana, and whereas Ralph Davis Brown was found deceased on May 13, 2022, nearly a year after he went missing from his home in Cornelius, and whereas Ralph Davis Brown is survived by his wife of 58 years, Carol, his children, Lori and Daryl, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, siblings, nieces, nephews, and countless friends, co-workers, and fellow runners and walkers who were a large part of his life, and whereas Ralph Davis Brown's family is grateful to the volunteer divers of Adventures with Purpose who found Ralph and brought closure to his family, as well as public safety personnel from Washington County, Yamhill County, the city of Cornelius, and many other cities, and the hundreds of volunteers who helped search for Ralph, and whereas due to the circumstances surrounding Ralph Davis Brown's tragic disappearance and death, Oregon's Missing and Endangered Person Alert System has now been updated to include a process for coordinated agency response when an endangered person goes missing. And whereas Ralph Davis Brown was a teacher and community leader of great distinction, and he was renowned for his love of family and friends, his lifelong passion for his students, and his decades of dedicated public service, now therefore be it resolved by the Legislative Assembly of the State of Oregon that we, the members of the 82nd Legislative Assembly, celebrate the life and accomplishments of Ralph Davis Brown, and we recognize and honor his contributions to the people of this state. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be presented to the family of Ralph Davis Brown as an expression of our sympathy and condolences.
Recognize Senator Solomon.
Mr. President, colleagues, I rise today in support of SCR 6, a Senate concurrent resolution to honor the life and legacy of Ralph Brown. I urge you to later take a few moments to read SCR 6. It is a beautiful life of service indeed. Ralph Brown's life had a wonderful, positive ripple effect. Everyone that came in contact with Ralph, he gave his time, his attention, his authenticity, and his community focus. He took whatever role he was in and he gave it his all in service to building community and service to people. Ralph showed up. Ralph Brown was a teacher and a community leader of great distinction, and he was renowned for his love of family, friends, and his lifelong passion for his students and his decades of dedicated public service. In May of 2021, when Ralph left his home and went missing, the community turned up for him. They searched. They consoled those that were filled with worry. They held out hope. And then ultimately, they grieved Ralph's tragic loss. Ralph Brown's disappearance was felt by the whole community and amassed broad support in his search effort. Dozens of volunteers gathered and searched hundreds of miles across Oregon. Some of these individuals knew Ralph, and they knew him personally. Some did not. Even through his tragic loss, Ralph continued to do service to the community, and there came hope for a future where a system would have improvements put in place to better serve vulnerable Oregonians that go missing when driving a vehicle. Due to Ralph's tragic disappearance and death, Oregon's Silver Alert System and Missing and Endangered Alert, the MEPA system, has now been updated to include a process for a coordinated agency response when an endangered person goes missing. Ralph Brown continues to create a legacy of positive change. This Senate concurrent resolution celebrates the life and many accomplishments of Ralph Davis Brown and recognizes and honors his contributions to the people of Oregon. Colleagues, I urge the support of Senate Concurrent Resolution 6. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Colleagues, it was nearly 20 years ago today that the Honorable Ralph Brown and I were appointed by Governor Kulongoski and confirmed on this Senate floor to the Oregon Volunteers Board, overseeing the state AmeriCorps program and encouraging and supporting volunteerism across the state of Oregon. Ralph was a selfless public servant, and I will never forget our days retreating at Minooka in the Gorge. Ralph, committed, dedicated, smart, funny, and ever so caring. We will miss him greatly, and we honor him today. To his family, thank you for sharing his light with the world. We're honored to celebrate Ralph's life today. Discussion on the measure? Senator Solomon, do you wish to close?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, please extend a warm welcome to Carol Brown, Ralph's bride of 58 years, Gretchen Brown, Ralph's daughter-in-law, Pete Truax, Forest Grove former mayor, and Rob Drake, the former city manager of Cornelius. Please take a look at the committee hearing as well. It was wonderful words of support given for this resolution. Again, an absolute beautiful life of service that deserves this recognition from the state of Oregon. Thank you, colleagues.
The question now arises upon third reading and final passage and final adoption of SCR 6. Those who are of the opinion that the bill should be adopted will answer aye as their names are called. Those opposed, no. The clerk will please call the roll.
Lieber. Linthicum. Manning. Meek. Patterson. Przanski. Robinson. Brock Smith. Solman. Steiner. Taylor. Thatcher. Weber. Woods. Anderson. Bonham. Boquist. Campos. Dembro. Finley. Frederick. Gelser Bluen. Gerard. Golden. Gorsuch. Hansel. Hayden. Jama. Knope. President Wagner.
Aye.
30 ayes.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 6, having received a constitutional majority, is declared adopted. To the family of the Honorable Ralph Brown, the Senate has conferred its highest honor on your family member today.